Templates are like gloves. I love baseball. Your template is simply your baseball glove. Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Mastering Post-Production Sound. My name is Joel. I'm a sound re-recording mixer. Been part of the post-production industry for the past 16 years, and I'm here to help you navigate the murky waters of the post-production sound industry. Let's talk mix templates. I absolutely love the sport of baseball. I'm a huge Dodger fan, being out here in LA, grew up watching the Dodgers, love it. My kids play baseball. I played baseball when I was a kid. I played baseball in high school. I love the sport. Baseball players have a lot of different accessories, but nothing more important than their baseball glove. That glove is form-fitting. You know, there's a whole process. So those of you who are not baseball fans, I'm going to give you a little insider knowledge here. But when baseball gloves come brand new, they're very difficult to use. Like you put your hand in it and you can barely like squeeze it, you know? So it has to go through a process that we call breaking in. You break in your glove and you can, you pound on it. Some people use steam, or I grew up with putting like conditioner kind of, not lotion, but like sort of like a Vaseline sort of. You work it into the leather and then you put a baseball in there. You wrap it with like rubber bands or string and put it under your bed. And then you got this big lump and you're laying on it, right? And you do that for like days, right? So you can kind of get it formed in and broken in so it can be easier to use. But baseball gloves for a baseball player is a very important tool. And out on the field, they use that glove and they know it. They come to it really over the years gets broken in and it just becomes like an extension of their body. Baseball players can use another person's glove and catch a ball. They could do it. However, that ball player is not going to really know that glove as well as its original owner. It's not going to feel the same because that glove is broken in and conditioned to their liking. So if somebody grabs somebody else's glove to use, really quickly, they'll be able to use it, sure. They'll get the job done. They'll be able to catch a ball or field the ball. However, they may not really know the intricacies of how flexible it is or how I can approach a ground ball or get underneath, a fly ball. It's just different. So mixers have the same kind of tools. And a template is very similar to that of a baseball glove for a baseball player. Mixers all have them. We all have templates. We all use them. And if I sit down to mix something and I use somebody else's template, I'll be able to kind of, know my way around, but it's not going to be like my template. My template has everything laid out the way that I like it. From visually, where I put my buses, where I put my VCAs, where my tracks, how they're showing, what kind of EQs I use, what kind of reverbs, am I sending my reverb through a return or through a send? It's all different, but I know it. It's mine. I've spent years adjusting it, getting used to it, trying different things, trying different layouts. And I will tell you, there's not one template that is the same. However, they all do the same thing, much like a baseball glove. A baseball glove is used to help the baseball player catch a ball, field a ball, instead of their bare hand. It's got a purpose. But as we sit down as mixers, we sit down with what we're comfortable. We use the tool that we know the best, and that is our template. And as a mixer, we go through different iterations of those templates. I know that for myself, sometimes it changes. If I'm working on a TV series, it changes season to season. I think, you know what I'm going to do this time? I'm going to add this, or I'm going to add this, or we need this. Let's try this. I change it, and I'll change it constantly. So for us mixers, sitting down with our template, we are very comfortable with what audio passes through that. And everyone is different. It's not to say that somebody's template is better than the other. It's just that they're more comfortable with it. I've sat and I've had the privilege of being able to sit and cover for, many of my esteemed colleagues. And I've had to work in their templates. And I always love it because it gives me an insight into what they are doing. Nobody does it alike. It's very, very different. And I'll never forget, my first template came from a colleague of mine. And he was like, yeah, you could take my template here, go for it. And I remember being like, whoa, this is so crazy. He gave me his template, and I remember like being so grateful for that, because it was almost like if somebody just like pulled the curtain back a little bit and everything was set up and all the buses were there and everything was very organized. And a little bit was confusing at first, and I kind of had to figure out like, oh, what's this? What's that? Right? I will tell you that my template now looks nothing like it did in the beginning. However, it was a wonderful place to start so I can learn. And I remember even saying, hey, why do you have this reverb set to pre instead of post? And he was like, oh, you know what? That's a mess up. I just never fixed it. I always went in manually. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's hilarious. So like I fixed certain things, but I learned along the way how to customize my template to my liking. And I'm telling you, I even get comments, people like, oh wow, that's interesting. Why do you do that? And it's the same thing I say to other people. There's a great mixer that I've worked with, and I've subbed for. He subbed for me. His name is Scott Weber, and he's fantastic, wonderful person. He worked on TV shows like Lost. I loved Lost. I remember meeting him. I was like, oh wow, he did Lost. This is great. But anyways, I nickname him the professor, right? Or we did, a couple of us, and he's just so great at and so detailed with his templates, and I learned so much from him. Even when I sat down and we were doing a show together, we were kind of switching off, and we collaborated and like, hey, what could we use that would be good for both of us to switch in and out of? And he took a little bit of what I was used to, and shared what he's used to, and I loved it. It was almost a perfect marriage of collaboration there. But we learn constantly as mixers. I'm telling you, if you get into this industry and you're not used to learning, get out now. What's the point? Don't even come in. You have to have a mentality of learning, of growing. I always talk about curiosity, staying curious, because that leads to growth, that leads to learning. So you should really be open to the ideas, especially when it comes to templates. Never be closed-minded about templates. You should be open, like, oh, why do you ask the questions? Why do you do it that way? Because I want to know, hey, if there's something that a colleague of mine is doing that is better, smarter, helps me get the job done quicker, why not take that aspect and integrate it into my template? That it's going to make it easier for me. So I'm going to encourage, those of us out there who are mixers to be open to what other templates mixers use. Ask questions. Why do you do that? You might learn something. I know that I have countless times over the years. My template, I joke around. A colleague of mine called, we were getting ready for a project, and he called his template like the world's best template, the best mixed template ever, and the world's greatest mixed template. And I joked around because it was like after every season or some, after the project, it would get updated and be like, oh, now it's the next best one, because we're always learning, we're always adding new things and trying new things. And the great thing about having a template is that, you can recall it at any time and adjust it at any time. And that's one of my downfalls is I'll get started on a project, and sometimes because we're just working so much, I'll say, man, I want to change this part of the template, but it really never happens, because I'm constantly busy, and really the only time that I can do it is maybe like off the clock, when I'm not mixing, and then when I remind myself, I'm like not in the facility or the studio. So I'm constantly updating, and I'm constantly remembering, oh yeah, I got to do that. But let me know in the comments below, do you have a template that you use that is your go-to? Have you had different versions of that? Where have you landed? I have a TV template, mixing template, and I also have a feature template. And one of the biggest differences is I don't have really any limiters on my film, because in film we are not regulated to the audio specs that much of the primetime networks and the streaming networks have to adhere to. So, just like limit it at like minus 0.1 so it doesn't clip, basically. But I'm constantly revising my templates and looking for things to improve on. So let me know in the comments. Do you have a template you love using? Tell me. If you're a new subscriber here, I want to thank you for checking out a video. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, why aren't you subscribed to the channel? Click the subscribe button, the notification bell, so you don't miss any upcoming videos. I appreciate you taking some time just to talk templates. Templates are fun. Templates are a lot of fun. And I will see you in the next video or somewhere over here in one of these videos. Thanks for watching.